Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with great recordings you've never heard of. Probably. I think I'm guessing pretty well. In this case, we have Violin Works by Heinrich Wilhelm Ernst. There we go. Gotcha, didn't I? Well, who was Heinrich Wilhelm Ernst? Well, Ernst was the great violinist from the mid-19th century. He was probably the only logical successor to Paganini. The two were friendly. They knew each other. Ernst was jealous of Paganini. Paganini may have been a little jealous of Ernst. Ernst did his best to figure out the secrets of Paganini's technique by, taking hotel rooms next to him and listening to him practice through the wall and things like that. Really kind of fascinating. Paganini himself was so dazzled by Ernst playing that it got him nervous, and he said that he would have to hide his compositions from Ernst, not just on paper, but also even playing them in front of him, because Ernst would memorize them and then duplicate them. I mean, those were the days. You know what I mean? That was really something. So anyway, Ernst was a Czech pianist. His life wasn't long. He lived from 1812 to 1865. He had some form of degenerative neuralgia or something, maybe like Ravel had, or who knows. But he didn't live all that long. He had a career as a touring virtuoso, writing mostly music for his own instrument as a composer, and some stuff he composed, some really cool stuff. Now, because he was a virtuoso and he lived at a time when the technique was still evolving for the instrument, a lot of his music has been dismissed as merely technical in aspect and not compositionally interesting. But that would be a mistake. Pardon my voice. I still have this cold thing. Anyway, he was very interesting as a composer, as you can hear on this splendid disc. He was interested in developing the polyphonic capacities of the violin, which is awfully interesting because, a violin is a melody instrument, right? You just play a tune. Well, he thought you should be able to play 2 or 3 tunes simultaneously, much as Bach did in his sonatas and partitas. And he did this in a thoroughly romantic style. Now, this particular disc, which is on Naxos, and it's just marvelous, features Czech violinist Josef Špaček, who's quite the virtuoso, and Gordon Bach piano in those pieces that have piano accompaniment. A lot of them are for solo violin. Now, normally solo violin music makes me crazy. It just drives me nuts because I can only tolerate the sound of the instrument for a limited period. But this is an exception because the music is just so fascinating. And what he does to create the illusion of many violinists playing at once. Take the very opening, which I'm going to play you a sample of because you deserve to hear this. It is a transcription, a complete transcription of Schubert's song Erlkönig, the Elf King. Now, what a challenge the song is because you've got 4 characters that the singer has to imitate. There's a narrator, there's the father, there's the Erlkönig, and there's the sick child. And they all have parts. And the singer has to sort of impersonate all of these characters, all while the piano is keeping up this incessant accompaniment in fast triplet rhythm. Bum bum, right? Bum bum, which is marvelous. It was used on all kinds of cartoons in the 40s and 30s and 50s and whatnot. And Lone Ranger episodes used it and everything. Anyway, so you've got the complete song here, arranged for a single violin. So you've got left-hand pizzicatos and double stopping and triple stopping and harmonics when the Erlkönig is singing, and it's really kind of amazing. I'm going to play you the opening just so you can get a sense of how fascinating and clever this transcription is. Here you go. amazing, isn't it? It really is. It's fascinating. And all the other stuff on this disc is quite frankly, equally rewarding. Naxos has done a couple of discs dedicated to Ernst, and they're really worth hearing. But next you get his brilliant variations on a theme by Rossini from his opera Zelmira. So you're probably not going to recognize the tune, but it's a charming tune. And then one of his masterpieces, the Étude pour le violon à plusieurs reprises, also known as the Polyphonic Studies. This is a major work, 28 minutes in 3, 4, 5, 6 movements. The last movement of which is a set of variations on The Last Rose of Summer. But before that, all kinds of things happen. There's a rondino, scherzo, allegretto, a terzetto, 3 parts for single violin, allegro risotto, and air de risoluto, not risotto. Allegro risotto, it's delicious. Allegro risoluto, and air de ballet, and then this variations on The Last Rose. Really an amazing, amazing work. One of the pinnacles of 19th century violin virtuosity, and fully comparable to, for example, Paganini's Caprices or something like that. I mean, if you like crazy music for solo violin, you got to hear this. You really do. Then we've got his album leaf after The Art of Phrasing by Stefan Heller, arranged for violin and piano, which is really pretty. Just a beautiful tune. And his most famous work, his Élégie sur la mort d'un objet chéri, which is the elegy on the death of a beloved dead object. The object could be anything: a dog, your house plant, your beloved significant other, you name it. It's a totally sappy piece of 19th century salon music, and one of the iconic ones. It was one of the most popular pieces of its day. And nowadays people don't know it at all. And it's played here with an introduction borrowed from Spohr's 6th Violin Concerto, which is the way it was normally done back in those days, which is kind of fascinating. Then we have 54 seconds. It's just called Trio for 1 violin. And wow, is that cool? It really is a trio. I mean, it's 3 parts for 1 violin, and it's only 54 seconds long. And last but not least, his variations on the Carnival of Venice, which, of course, everybody did, including Paganini. And it's just this brilliant 15-minute long, total orgasm for violin and piano. An amazing piece. So like I said, you have Josef Špaček, violin, Gordon Bach, piano, on Naxos, a wonderful, wonderful disc of rare but really rewarding violin repertoire that you should really hear. I mean, it will fascinate you. I guarantee. It's dazzling and extraordinarily fun. And it recreates, the sense of a bygone era when these traveling virtuosi were running around just blowing the minds of audiences all over Europe. Joseph Joachim, the great Joachim, who was given a lot of encouragement in his career by Ernst, considered Ernst to be the greatest violinist he'd ever heard, period. And that really says something. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.